I just transitioned off of my job to go full time because business required it. Been married going on 5 years in July, and just excited. We do consulting with small churches, especially those in the African American context. And something that's exciting that we're doing right now. I started a company called Excel Leadership Group, which we do like leadership development, training, and then we are stretching into strategic planning for businesses. But one thing that we're really excited to be doing is creating a community for emerging, aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. So we'll be sharing a little bit more about that, how to get connected to us. And I'm excited to just chat with my boy today on the Cut Different podcast.
Let's go ahead and get into the conversation, right? You already talked about entrepreneurship. That's today's topic. That's today's subject. I think it's really cool, though, to hear some of the stories of how people got to where they are today. And for you being an entrepreneur, the first question that I have that I would really love to hear kind of your story behind is, what made you want to be an entrepreneur and what got you to the place that you are today?
Well, I think it's gonna sound crazy, and I have always been entrepreneurial, and even from a youth, from young, I started working very early in my life, but I always had an enterprising eye. I always had an eye for opportunity, and it really began to play out when I got into college. It was in college when I was like, man, I think I want to get into real estate, but I just didn't pursue it. And I wish I would have pursued it, 10, 12 years ago, because I'd be in a completely different place at this season of my life. But when I got into started getting jobs after post-college, I'd work a job for a few years and then be ready to do something different. And a lot of people would attribute it to, oh, he's not mature, but it really wasn't that. It was, I always needed another challenge because I could learn the basic concepts of the job and move on. And as I was working through that, I would always learn. And I realized that my experiences were equipping me. I got two DBAs like 8 years ago, trying to do some other stuff. And they didn't last long because I didn't have the rest of the tools necessary to create a sustainable business from those ideas. But I've always been kind of entrepreneurial. But last 2 years, it made sense, right? Like my whole life made sense. And I'll say this, I had a cousin, this is my last comment answer of this. I had a cousin who, she posted on Facebook, I wish I had a special talent so that I could start a business. And I was like, girl, it don't take a special talent. You just got to have grit. You don't have to have some special thing. You got to have grit, and you got to know, you got to have the mind process, the neuroplasticity to know what to do with an opportunity. You don't have to be, you don't have to be special, like you just got to have grit, ethic, and then the thinking skills, the critical thinking skills to know how to maximize an opportunity, man.
That man said neuroplasticity.
I just learned that word.
Look, I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good just because of that. So you had said something that I think, a lot of people end up saying, and that's, I wish I would have done this, earlier on. And obviously when you shared that, you had mentioned getting into real estate earlier, but are there some other things that you may have wished you would have done differently, or paths you wish you would have taken, or people that presented opportunity, that you would have taken on that opportunity? And what do you do for that person who says, well, I feel like I missed all my opportunities, but they still got life and breath, you know what I mean? But it might just be late in the ball game. Is it over for them, or what should their mindset be?
Man, that's a great question. So I would say, first of all, that most extremely wealthy people get it after 40. Like, not that wealth is the point, but the idea is there are people, when you think about The owner of the Dallas Mavericks,
Mm-hmm. Mark
Mark
Cuban.
Mark Cuban,
Yep.
got it. He was like 45.
Wow.
And so his first thing a lot of people struggle with is most high net worth individuals don't get it till after 40. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is that most high net worth individuals have been working in something that seems meaningless or purposeless for a significant period of time. That most entrepreneurs don't truly start from scratch. If you look at the numbers, most legit entrepreneurs have been in the work environment for 10, 15 years. Most entrepreneurs have been laboring in some, I'm gonna use a biblical term, like we talk about David was a shepherd
Mm-hmm.
before he became king. And
Come on.
so I want to tell you, no matter what your age is, it's never too late, especially with how technology is today. I was just researching apps the other day. I found 4 apps that can help me run one of my businesses. Like just if I could,
Mm.
and they could all speak to themselves and be integrated. The distance to get to your entrepreneurial endeavor is shorter than it's ever been because of technology, because of social media. So there's no such thing as too late. Your journey begins the day you start moving. The
Mm.
day, and here's the key. It's gonna sound so wacky. I'm big on confidence,
Yeah.
and I say this: confidence fuels competence. Confidence fuels competence. Um, so what that means is, the more confident you become, the better you'll perform.
Mm.
And
Come on now.
we have a lot of people who struggle with entrepreneurship. Number one, because without confidence, you won't take risks. You got to believe in your dream, in your creator, and in yourself.
That's
Like
good.
you have everything within you to be productive. And so a lot of people like when I left my job, I had a plan. I saved a certain amount of money. I didn't leave my job before it was time. I left the right time. My business made me fire my job, but
Come on.
I I was I waited so long to do that because I was like, man, that consistency is great. That consistency feels good. But I
Right.
thought about it. I was like, but do I believe in my product? Do I believe in my dream? Do I believe? So we could talk about strategies, we could talk about relationships, opportunities, but the most important thing we've got to think about is, do you believe in who God made you to be? Do you believe that you have God DNA? You got God running through your blood. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You are
Yeah.
you are you are created by divinity, and that should be enough
My,
for
my,
you to
my.
believe in what you made, in who and how he made you. He made you with this brain, the activity of your limbs, like, so that is big for me. That's big.
Yeah.
That started
Yeah.
everything.
Bro, you said some good things in that. Because in today's culture, the hot button topic or the hot thing, when you talk about entrepreneurship and you compare that to the traditional job, a lot of people in today's self-motivating culture are kind of leaning towards, hey, jump off the boat, even if you ain't got a plan in place. Jump off the boat, get away from working for the man and work for yourself. And to some extent, like, I get that, but on another level, it almost seems impractical and unwise, especially for those who have families.
Mhm.
Would you encourage that? Or, I mean, just kind of hearing from what you said, like, I know where you would kind of land,
Yeah.
but what would you say about entrepreneurship versus the traditional job? And actually just kind of speak more into what you said when you said you talked about your job pretty much, or what you were doing entrepreneurially ultimately ended up, firing you.
Yeah. Yeah. So um for a lot of people, that I think that if you have a good paying job that's taking care of, especially we got family. So I had a family,
Yeah.
I got family to take care of, and it's necessary. And uh, here's another thing a lot of people don't know about entrepreneurs, real legit entrepreneurs. is that most of them are not like, they're not these reckless people. Real entrepreneurs are highly calculated. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, we think and it's so silly, but people show us these pictures and images on social media. I quit my job and did da, 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 da. Or, we hear a lot of stories about people who were homeless, but that's not the majority of legit entrepreneurs. The majority of legit entrepreneurs, they work, developed some sort of retirement from their job, and waited till they had a significant nest egg to invest in their business. And so, I share this, especially I say for men, but it works for everybody. When you become an entrepreneur, you end up putting in more hours than in your regular job.
Yeah.
It's nothing for me to do a 16-hour day.
Mm.
Difference is I'm doing things that I either enjoy, or I enjoy the freedom of doing them at my own pace versus
Mm-hmm.
being at the job. But I said all to say that the being at the job is necessary because it helps you to develop the mind frame of accountability. A lot of people want
Mm.
to be entrepreneurs, but have not developed a self discipline, because you're going to need that discipline you have on a day job. You're going to
Yeah.
need it for your business. Okay.
Mm.
So I had a plan. I said, if once I save this amount of money, once my business is giving me this amount of projected, I can project that I'm going to be doing this amount, then I'm going to make my transition. And in February, I had my year's salary from my business under contract already. Like, no contract was going to fall out. I had
Wow.
that amount. I don't mind telling you, I made 45 from my day job. Just that was just day
Yeah.
job. So
Yeah.
when I put $45,000 under contract, I knew it was gonna come into my bank account. I was like, I no longer need my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I said, I'll make $45,000 by June. So if I quit by March, I'll have 9 months to generate new business. That's plenty of
Yeah.
time, not
Yeah.
including the fact that I had money in the bank. So I would say to that aspiring entrepreneur, it's nothing wrong with holding on to that job till the time is just right. You'll have to, I say just right. There's really, it won't feel good when it's time to go, but there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with holding on to it as long as you can, you know?
That's good wisdom right there. I feel like you just kind of leading us into like each question, because you were talking also about the time and self-discipline, and there's some things there that I believe kind of scare people, because they think about, oh, if I'm working, you know, full time, and I also am, trying to create this dream or this job or this idea that I have, this business plan, then I have to forego this whole work-life balance. And I have to put 110% into being committed to that. And yet there's no rest, there's no, enjoyment, because when you start a business, on the front end, there's some work. And so
Mm-hmm.
what wisdom do you have for that person? And how could you, you know, help them with that, struggle that they may have, to give them a better idea of like, hey, yeah, it's work, but uh, you know, this is some of the reality, but also it's not completely the reality. If does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good, bro. That's a good question, because if I'm honest, I still struggle with work-life balance.
Yeah.
But here's my transition, right? So while I had my day job, 8 hours, and then come home, I'm doing showings right after I get off work. I may get home at 9. I may get
Yeah.
home at 10. While I was at my job, and this is a little questionable as it relates to integrity, but while I was at my job, I'm taking business phone calls. I'm setting
Yeah,
stuff up. I'm
come on.
shooting text messages. I'm sending emails. And so what I did was, one of the blessings of me being off my job is that now, if I need to take a nap in the middle of the day, I can schedule to take a nap in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
because your body has to rest, your mind has to rest. Rest is just as important as work. Okay, it's a yin and a yang. It's a two sides of the same coin. And
Yeah.
then I'm gonna tell you this one thing that a lot of people is so basic, but it has changed my life. Using my calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
like like every if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's times when I get downtime, then I take advantage of the downtime. And so right now, I mean, I can pack. I mean, like I said, I may work 16 hours throughout in a day. I may be up on the phone till 10 o'clock at night, but I haven't worked hard all day. There's some times when I may stop. I may stop over for a 30-minute video game session because that's one of my pastimes.
Yeah.
And then my wife now, since my wife works from home, I mean, we just stay up late. We may not be able to. I may be working all day, but we just stay up late because neither one of us has to rush to be anywhere in the morning.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so to make sure that we're developing our relationship and the business is not overtaking our life. That's some of the things, just small things that we do to create balance. I'm gonna say this, bro. We get what I believe three resources in life, just three basic raw resources in life. You get time, you get energy, and you get focus. All right.
Mm.
If you take time, energy, and focus and apply it towards a task, you're going to get an outcome. These are three
Mm.
inputs, right?
Yeah.
Now, time is unreplenishable. You don't get that back. When you spend it, when you invest into something, you don't get it back. The only way you get time back is if God gives it back, right?
Come on.
Energy and focus are replenishable. Here's how you get energy back: you rest. Here's how you get focus back: you have recreation, you have fun.
Mm.
So, to business owners or entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs who are not resting and having recreation, you're out of balance. You got to have those things to pull you into balance because they also help you to continue to become creative, to keep your thinking fresh so that you can continue to be productive in your business and create. You got to have time off. You got to go do the things that make you have fun. Make it fun awakens your imagination and your curiosity. So,
That's good.
it's I would say that entrepreneur, man, is there's a last thing, make a plan.
Come on.
Like
Come on.
like I've I say this, your planning predicts your progress, not your
Come on.
performance.
Yeah.
Your planning will predict your progress.
Mm.
So you gotta, like, we hate sitting to plan because we're so driven. But I'm telling you something, a well-designed plan will cut all the inefficient work out of your life, right? Like,
Mm.
planning creates efficiency. Planning makes sure you do your time well. I mean, you're working with the right people, you're working on the right things at the right time. Having a plan, man,
Yeah.
that'll cut out any wasted time.
It's funny that you said that because I think that's so true. And I remember at one point when I was doing this multi level marketing, which we all done those in the
Mm-hmm.
past, where I was trying to get a meal real quick. And they had said not only planning, but they also said something along the lines of like your why,
Mm-hmm.
and always going back to your why to keep you, in it, to preserve you in the long haul. How important do you believe that is? And what is your why, Terrance Samuels, that keeps you going every day when you wake up?
Yeah, that's good. So I've always, it's funny. So when I began in real estate, I went to Keller Williams, and the first thing they told us is to start with why, or to dig down to your why, and it's got to be a deep why, right?
Right,
And I'm
right,
actually
right.
about to start reading Simon Sinek's book, Start with Why.
Come on,
Uh, yeah, because you got to keep growing. You know what I'm saying?
plug us in. Yeah, plug us in.
So, but for Terrance, this for me. If I can increase my revenue or income, then I can be a greater blessing to not only my family but to the world.
Mm.
Um, I am different, and I don't encourage anybody to think like me. So for some people, it's their children. For some people, it's their deceased grandfather who always believed in them. For some people, it's getting away from maybe a background or upbringing that was full of poverty. For me, it's about expressing all that God put in me so I can become an even greater blessing. That everything about me is about stepping into it for the sake of the world. The world needs what's inside of me. That's what drives me. And part of that is accessing all of my entrepreneurial, my enterprisable skills, and increasing my revenue, becoming a high net worth individual for the sake of having more to give the world to make it a better place. And
Mm,
that is my why. I've been created to add extreme value to the world. And
mm,
no one else is going to be able to give the world what I'm going to give it. The world needs me to be great so that I can help the world be better. And that's my why. Like I say, for
man.
some people, it's their children, it's their spouses. It's like, man, you know, um, but that my why is I really believe I've been created for something significant. God wants to do something in my life. And this part, I got to tap into this entrepreneurship piece. Tap to this entrepreneurship piece um, to unleash it on the world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Brother, that is a compelling why right there. I need to
Mm-hmm.
make that my why. Cause them kids, boy, every now and then I'd be like, I don't know if the why strong enough.
Yeah.
But
Not today. Not today.
not today. No, not today. Man, I want to get on this just because one, you're an entrepreneur, and then two, you're an African American. And I think those two things sometimes can feel as if they oppose each other. Do you feel like Black entrepreneurs have to work harder than not just white entrepreneurs, but just anybody? And what are some things that we can put in our bag that's going to be helpful for us navigating in those spaces and overcoming some of those barriers that present themselves?
Yeah, definitely. 99% of my real estate business is African American. I've never done a deal with anyone else, and it's not intentional. I'm available. I got classmates, I got friends. I've marketed myself to other nationalities,
Mm,
ethnicities, but 99% of my business is African American. And so we have to work harder. African American entrepreneurs have to work harder. Number one, because for a significant amount of us, our initial clientele comes from the African American community. That's number one. Number two, African American um, entrepreneurs have to work harder because many times we don't have access or the capital to have the best of the best systems, the best websites, the best. When we start out, many of those who start out don't have access to the best of anything.
yeah.
And so, or we don't have, and access is basically about knowing if it exists, knowing where it is. Not many of us are funded by startup capital. So we're out here scrapping. That's the second
Mm,
thing. The third thing is in the African American community, um, our there has been this skepticism about the
mm,
excellence of our businesses. And
mm,
so I
mm.
hear it said too many times in some of the groups I'm in. I hate to play into the narrative, but this is why I don't do business with black businesses. So I think
Yeah.
there's two parts to that because I do think that there are some customer service skills that need to be improved in our community, but I also think that there's a disloyalty to to the African American community's health, financial health.
Yeah.
Um, and so we go to other areas because of the convenience, because of the accessibility, and we don't have the patience to help our own get better, to create community around our own businesses, create community around our own people, to improve. It takes all of us to get better. And so,
Yeah.
man, I think that we do have to work harder. I think that if we're going to truly compete or truly become to grow, man, it just takes a little bit extra for us.
Yeah. And I love this conversation because it's creating some questions in my mind that kind of steer us sort of outside of the conversation of entrepreneurship, but not outside of the range and scope of what you're doing and what I do as well with church planting in the church. And we talk about the Black church as well. And when you talk about this disloyalty or this lack of trust, I think that's also presenting itself in the Black community in regards to the church. And there's some things that I feel that we should do as church planners. But what would be your encouragement to a not even a young brother, but maybe a pastor or a church planner that's trying to plant in the Black community, and just needing some encouragement in that fight, to do that and to do that well. They want to be faithful, but yet there's so many barriers as well that kind of keep them. And church planning is like entrepreneurship to some level, so I don't think we're going outside of that. But
Yeah.
I do want to hear your input because I know you've got a lot to say, and you shared that earlier. And that's some of the conversation that we've had. And I
Yeah.
think it would be good for people that might be watching that might not know the whole scope of what we deal with in regards to trying to be faithful in the Black community.
Yeah, no, I can go all day about that. I love the church. I love God. I love the church. And yes, for a church planter, you've got to access all of your entrepreneurial skills, all of your entrepreneurship talents, acumen. Whew, and you got to pull all of it out of you. What I would say as it relates to that skepticism is over the last 12, 18 months, I think the society, everything's going on, especially in the United States, across the world,
Yeah.
has shown us the things that African American Black leaders need to be championing the most. And we need to have gospel centered answers around the economic status of our people. We need to have gospel centered answers around the health and fitness of our people. And we need to have gospel centered answers around the social unrest. And those two really are social. The umbrella idea is the social status of persons of color.
Yeah.
And those things, even for church planters, need to be things we're willing to be open and honest and forward about, and let our people know that we are interested. Number one, we want you to have better. Um, the gospel provides space for us to communicate that you can have better. You don't have to be on the social system. You don't have to be on public governmental support. You have things within you to produce uh, income for your family. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you don't have to die from diabetes or any
Come on.
comorbidity,
Yeah.
because folks in our community were sick.
Yeah.
Diabetes, hypertension, blood pressure, kidney issues ravaged our community. And I'm saying, where are our pastors who aren't just shouting to people on Sunday mornings, but are saying, I'm concerned about everything concerning you? And
Mm,
the gospel makes room for it, but we're not
come on.
talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would tell any church planter that we've got to and be intentional about making sure that the Imago Dei is is being expressed and communicated. You are a child. You are an image bearer of God, and as an image bearer of God, here's how you should be living. Here is
Mm,
what how you should be thinking. You are an image bearer of God, so here's what you should be thinking about in this season of your life. I think a church planter who communicates that to prospective unbelievers, unchurched, is going to make a significant impact. It's slow work, but
yeah. Yeah.
it's necessary work.
Yeah.
It's necessary. And so, man, that's my thing. I'm big on that. I'm telling every pastor I know, man, we got to be focusing on the social status of our people and have a gospel centered answer, and then let the gospel and the Holy Spirit do the rest of the work of bringing these people closer to the Father. But we can't just be building big buildings and
Yeah.
not answering the pains in our community. I'm hurting
Man,
about that.
come on. Yeah, bro, that's so good. And I love the fact that you said gospel centered in all of those descriptors, but like it's unfortunate that we have to add that descriptor in order for people to get that the gospel actually speaks to that, you know. And I
Mhm.
love what Eric Mason says all the time. It's like, hey man, we're not just focused on our orthodoxy, but our orthodoxy influences our orthopraxy. And so
Mhm.
that's why we engage in social matters. That's why we care about these things. Because, you know, ultimately God cares. It is not just preach the gospel only, but it is let's live out the gospel. That's beautiful, brother. I've been encouraged by that. I appreciate that. So I want to end with this last question. I do it
All
every
right.
time, and I really want to kind of hear from other people because I think these questions are good. Um, and sometimes maybe they're obvious. The would you rather question. So the
Okay.
would you rather question that I have for you is, would you rather have 20 great ideas or 20 key people to network with? 20 great ideas or 20 key people to network with.
Man, that is tough.
And why?
Oh, that's tough. That is tough. So I'm gonna go with 20 key people.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll tell you why. Uh, our greatest resource
Mm,
is people. An idea is great, but if you are connected to a person who can make something happen, you don't have to have ideas.
come on.
If people who are key or high, they're high capacity people, right? And they're looking for, be surprised how many high capacity people are looking for mentees. They're looking for somebody to share what they have with. We can't let the first few no's keep us from, you know, there are people out here in these streets who are doing well, who get they it builds them up to actually pour into somebody else. And
Yeah.
so I need a network of 20 key people. And because I know that if I have key people who are for me, I won't have an unmet need.
Man.
I'll
Yeah.
give you I'll give you a story. I just met with a pastor who's a millionaire, but he didn't get it through church. He legit buys and sells businesses. And I met with him 2 weeks ago. And I had known him for like 8, 9 years.
Hmm.
And so we were talking. He was like, "Man, when I lost my first million," when he said that, I was like,
Say what?
"How you lose $1 million?" You know, I was like,
Yeah.
he said, "Man, Samuels, when I lost my first million, I met with another guy who was from a different ethnicity, and
Mm,
this guy, because this pastor I talk was black, and
yeah.
he pastors in a historical black area in Houston, but he said he met with another guy who was different ethnicity, and the guy said, hey man, how many people in your network can give you $100,000?
Mm,
He was like, none.
right.
How many people in your network can give you $50,000? He said, none. He said, 25, none. 15, none. And he said, when you are a high capacity person, you got to have a high capacity network. He said, because you should have been easily able to recover from that loss because your network was in a certain place.
Yeah.
And he was like, Terrance, it's not about the money. He said, it's about being in position to just help your network, help your squad. He
Yeah.
was like, I got friends. I could just if they need it, I just send them $10,000 and just like I ain't worried about being paid back. I'm not so. He said because the $10,000 don't hurt. It wouldn't hurt me to lose it.
Yeah.
So that network, man, is everything. You got to have people who can breathe life into you. You got to have people who can say who can. I got friends who say if I have a need, I say, man, go meet this person. They can resource you. That network is everything.
Yeah. Man, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it. I said, man, I'm gonna make this question hard. And man, you made that super easy. That made super sense if I could do that. I appreciate that, bro. Man, how can people reach out to you? How can they get to you? After this, I know a bunch of people are gonna be like, man, who is that brother? Because I need to know him so I can get some of those gems in my life.
Man, so I'm on Facebook, Terrance R. Samuels, R is my middle initial. Terrance R. Samuels. I got two pages. I have a public figure page and I have a private page. You can hit me up on either one of those. I access them pretty consistently. I'm on Insta at IMT Samuels. I think that's my wife might have changed my name. She's my publicist. She's my publicist. She always doing something. But I think on Insta and IMT Samuels. Um, and so I'm on Twitter. A lot of people on Insta. I am Terrance Samuels. See, I'm glad I checked it. I am Terrance Samuels. And then I'm on Twitter. People laugh at me when I say Twitter, like nobody uses it. I still use Twitter.
That's
So
funny.
on Twitter, I am Terrance Samuels. My cell number, I give out my cell number, 713-336-3168. And my email address is terrancersamuels@gmail.com. I'm an easy guy to connect with. I love connecting with people trying to get somewhere. I believe that's what we need in our community. We need people to help us get where we're trying to go. So
Well, man, you bless the podcast. Appreciate your time as well as who you are. And hopefully, the viewers, you have enjoyed this session. As always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share that thing so people can get this wisdom and these nuggets and these gems that Terrance just shared. We appreciate you watching. That's it for us. Cut Different Podcast.
appreciate you.